It's story time with Lindsay Lou. There were two people that complained about my font being too light in my Christmas letter, and one of them said it was their old eyes, and the other one wouldn't admit that it was their old eyes. But I said that I would read it. So that's what I'm going to do. You'll get to hear it in my own voice. I was simply swamped in December and couldn't wish you Merry Christmas 2022. So I'm wishing you Happy New Year 2023. So that thing about old eyes, I think I'm going to have to turn the light on. Okay, we've got a light beam. It's like, I wonder if I can, no, I'd have to sit somewhere else. Okay. All right. There we were, round about October, when my husband asked me, have you started your Christmas letter yet? My eyes rolled way back in my head, and I clacked an annoyed no, except I should have dropped whatever I was doing and done exactly that. Because here we are, February 2023, and now you have yet another example and confirmation that I am a master procrastinator, though it likely won't be the last time you receive a Merry Christmas from me in January. It's fine. Imagine all the time you have now that you didn't have then to sit and sip and read my novel. It's a win-win. In order to understand why I was so busy this past Christmas, I have to take you back to Christmas 2021. I made 11 quilts for Christmas in 2021, 8 of which featured Grandpa Zeph's clothes, God rest his soul. I brought some of his clothes home with me after his funeral to do something special for my family. I found a pattern, a meaningful and fitting pattern, the Carpenter's Star, as he was a talented carpenter all of my life. I gifted my family with quilts made from the clothing of the man we all loved so much, and each and every one of those quilts were received and appreciated. It was important to me to make them for Christmas last year, 2021. As Grandpa's 2 remaining sisters, Dee Dee and Delphine, as well as his nephew and best friend Lawrence, have all since passed away. I don't like this beam in my face. It's a little bit distracting. Anyways, in making those quilts, I have discovered my spiritual gift, not only through sewing, but in simply creating beauty to share with and bless others. So that is what I do. And because social media, word of mouth, and recommendations have spread, I stay busy with a long list of quilts to be sewn for folks wanting to preserve their loved one's memory. This year, let's make believe this year refers to 2022 for the duration of my letter. This year, almost everything I've made has been a commission, and quilts have taken up my time, including my Christmas letter writing time. I'll try to do better in the next 10 or 11 months. There was just no need to stress about completing quilts this year too, and this letter this year too. My mother nearly died last January with a laundry list of ailments. She doesn't remember the ambulance ride or the 19 days she spent in the hospital, some of which was on a ventilator. It's truly a miracle that she survived. Ultimately, she was diagnosed with don't want to take no pills, and therefore spent the next 5 weeks in medical rehab to treat the muscle atrophy that occurred while sedated. She came home for 1 week, fell and broke her hip, went back to the hospital, and after a 5-day stay, she was back in rehab for another 5 weeks. She came home in May, a little slower but in good spirits. Apparently, she's a tough lady, and the Lord isn't finished with her yet. She enjoys sitting in the sunshine when it's warm outside, going to the community potlucks, and getting a pedicure every month. She's doing well, I think, the best she has since she joined us in 2018. Page 2. A year ago, we had foundation poured for our honey house, a 3,200 square foot building for bottling the liquid gold the girls leave in our many boxes. It's got a bathroom, a commercial kitchen, an office, and will allow for a much more comfortable and roomier place for honey extraction, as well as the ability to produce fruit jam or toad jam or dress a deer. It's still very much under construction, as production has been delayed many times. Have you seen the price of lumber? It's about 80% complete at this point, but things have moved slowly due to materials and parts availability or lack thereof, illness in workers, and unfortunately, even the unfortunate and untimely death of Mr. Paul, one of Randy's old guy friends. It's coming along though, and it's going to be a dandy. While there's a big long list of folks to thank on account of their hand in getting this thing done, we couldn't have done it without John Morey, who deserves a remarkable amount of credit for this project. Really just about all the credit for this project. There are simply not enough words or thank yous to offer for his hand, time, knowledge, effort, and expertise in all this. He is the real hero, and that is no joke. No joke. I have a notion to have a plaque made, once it's all said and done, to include all the people who have helped somehow, even in any little bit. But besides John, Tyler, Robert, and Alan, and Bruce, and Jack, and Megan, and I want to give a shout out to the Mexican guy in the old school green Monte Carlo who made sure we weren't cops when he vetted us at the gas station. He obviously gave the all clear to the other Mexican guy, the one in the white old school Monte Carlo, who pulled in 30 seconds after the first guy left. We met the second guy to buy all the rolls of 12-2 and 14-2 electrical wire, which I can only assume, due to the shady circumstances, he procured in a less than legal manner. While we do not normally buy stolen property out of the trunk of a Monte Carlo at a gas station in the barrio of Atlanta, it was an experience, and here we are, left with a story, and boy, do I love a story. As for our little farm, once our last drove of pigs went to slaughter, we didn't get any more, as our focus has been on the honey house. Our little farm has dwindled down to nothing but chickens and a couple of tom turkeys this year, so Randy could focus on construction. We did have one pig, a boar hog, who didn't go to slaughter because he was too little, not to mention ugly, though that's neither here nor there. But he ended up running off in search of a gilt pig of his dreams, a pig he wasn't too short for, one who would love him forever. We wish him well and hope he finds himself a piece. He sure did try with those tall pigs we had here before. The dynamics just weren't right, and nature couldn't do what nature does for that poor little amorous boar. Zeph's Trail Life Troop took a trip in the spring to Charleston, South Carolina to see the USS Yorktown, a World War II era aircraft carrier. The boys loved seeing the ship and planes, and I loved the opportunity to see my Kate and her girls as she met me for a weekend trip to a beautiful historic city. Gullah people peddled their handmade woven baskets and flowers to tourists on the street and in the markets. We took a city tour on a little bus, and the driver told us stories of sailors and old-timey traditions from long ago. I loved the architecture and beachy lifestyle, but it's amazing to me how simply traveling east, the people aren't nice and friendly like they are in the Golden Corner of South Carolina where we live. I did love how the guy at the little hole-in-the-wall package store described the local bourbon as gorgeous. And because he did, I gifted my husband with that gorgeous Charleston single barrel hooch. He loved it. I am an excellent gift giver, you know. Zeph spent some time all by himself with Auntie in the Michigan woods early in the summertime. He would be there for 3 weeks before he came home. In the meantime, with Auntie, a deck nail went all the way through his foot while he was walking barefoot on an old wooden playpiece at the deer refuge. The guy who runs the place got his trusty old chainsaw and cut right through that board to free Zeph's foot. He's up to date on all his vaccinations, so I'll thank you not in advance not to call me about this one very minor and specific detail. I'd rather talk about how Auntie lost him in a store and thought he was stolen, and she cried. I enjoyed her retelling of this event over coffee one morning during our annual summertime visit, though I was glad she did not call me during the time of his disappearance, or what could better be described as when he was in the arcade. Kids are always walking off. You have to put a GPS tracker in their britches. After coming home, Zeph went for the third time to Camp Chattooga, a summer camp for school-age kids, but he did not enjoy himself this year, not one little bit. He got kicked out of camp a day early, and we will now file summer camp as places not to send the boy anymore because he didn't want to go to begin with. He doesn't have to be interested in everything, and it was a lesson for Mom to be more attentive. I'm not great at everything. What can I say? McKenna, 17, Randy's middle daughter, made a big life-altering decision to come from Texas to live with us now. She began her senior year in the fall at Walhalla High School and has settled in nicely. She played in the marching band at school during the first semester and is currently getting her ducks in a row to graduate in May. She's not at school. When she's not at school, she spends all of her time working. We're super proud of her, happy to have her, and even though she misses her Nana and Papa in Texas, she's happy to be here too. In July, we went back to Auntie's in the woods. This time it was me, Zeph, and Grammy, and we stayed a couple weeks. While we were there, we spent time with friends and saw some family. My mom got to see her friend Roseanne, who she hasn't seen in about 5 years, and I got to see Holly and her family. Holly and I have been friends since I was 5. We had visits with Grandpa Dale and Aunt Debbie, a nickname our Peyton came up with. Aunt Debbie is my dad's girlfriend. Not actual relation, but it's fun when I tell people something about my dad and his girlfriend, Aunt Debbie, and the look, you know, the one that comes with it. We saw Grandma Carol and Grandpa John and Aunt Linda and Uncle Mark. Zeph loves to visit his Michigan family, although he has trouble keeping everybody straight. It might have to do with my referring to girlfriends as aunt and all these extra grandparents we have accumulated through a series of bad decisions and broken marriages. Really, it's just more love at this point, and it's fine. We came home early from our visit with Auntie because Randy told me the Booster Club meets on whatever day, and that's where we get season football tickets. So there I was at Walhalla High School Booster Club meeting to buy tickets for fancy football seats. Except that's not where you buy fancy football seats. That's where you get suckered into being on the Walhalla High School Booster Club, even though you don't even have a student athlete. That's where you learn for the 8,793rd time in your life that you should just keep your mouth shut. That is where you are given the title of athletic booster secretary. And the first day you make all the band moms mad at you. That is what that was. In spite of it all, I've met some great ladies peddling popcorn. So all of that mess wasn't for naught. Peyton, 15, Brandy's youngest daughter, spent 6 weeks with us in the summer. She always enjoys her time in South Carolina and kept busy swimming at the city pool and being a big helper around the house. She likes to get the chicken eggs from the coop, feeding the barn cats, and does a great job stacking the plastic storage freezer container bowls in the cabinet, a task no one else wants to do. She stays in touch with her boyfriend, Landon, a sweet little boy who lives near us. They got to go bowling and to a movie and got ice cream this summer, as well as a day or two of hanging out at the pool. When her visit was up, I flew back with her to Texas. Boy, were our arms tired. From there, I went on to a long weekend in Arizona to celebrate Grandpa and Grandma Patterson's 70th wedding anniversary. 70 years. She was 15. She lied to Grandpa about both her age and her name, and he broke up with her on account of it, as any respectable gentleman of 20 and an E5 in the Navy would do. Then he secretly followed her around for weeks to see what she was up to. In 2023, we call that stalking. Things were different in 1953, and they ended up spending time together on large group dates on the weekends at a roller rink. And before too long, Grandpa got permission from a judge to marry her. 70 years, 4 sons, a whole gaggle of grandchildren and great-grandchildren later, they had a beautiful celebration of a beautiful couple and their life together. It was an awesome opportunity to see people dear to my heart. I love Arizona. I miss it often, but I was boiling in the desert. I like 74-ish degrees. Jenna, who's 20, Randy's eldest, beat teen pregnancy this year. That's always a thing to celebrate. She's working on finishing her senior year at Clemson University. She's currently taking way too many credits and has too many jobs. She coached Zeph's soccer team this past fall, and they finished third in the county. Jenna and Zach are doing life together, living the dream, except she doesn't have a moment of free time. She never comes to Sunday dinner, and if it weren't for Snapchat, we wouldn't remember what she looks like. So we're looking forward to her graduating and hope she turns up every now and again. Grayson, 16, Randy's son, who lives in Texas, is a stud. He didn't come for a visit this summer because he loves his friend Connor too much to leave him, even though we said bring your BFF with you. They apparently had too much football practice. We hope he/they come, the two besties who are joined at the hip this summer, and stay a while. We have room. We like it when all the kids are at our table, elbows and napkins in their lap, of course, but present nonetheless. Grayson, aka Bubba, did join us this past Christmas. The one that was a few or 5 or 6 weeks ago now. We're glad to have him and proud of all he's doing. And he's the starting linebacker of the varsity football team and makes amazing homemade macaroni and cheese. My husband is doing great things. For a retired guy, he sure works hard. In addition to the building construction, he's on the American Legion Honor Guard, rendering gun salutes at the funerals of past veterans. There haven't been as many funerals this year as there has in the past, so maybe he's only shot that rifle at about 30 or 40 gravesites. He's involved with Zephyr Trail Life, and there's always some activity the men are putting on. In big deal news, Randy not only earned the title of Oconee County Beekeeper of the Year, he earned the title of South Carolina Beekeeper of the Year for the whole state. Randy Bond has become somewhat of a local celebrity after tirelessly bringing a local political legal scandal to light, an issue that's been tarnishing the integrity of the Oconee County Council and its constituents, and in doing so has begun a weekly radio show to allow the people of Oconee County the opportunity to know the truth. Now, I'm going to just break away from this for a moment. There was a guy who allegedly whooped his wife's ass in front of their small child, like 4-year-old, 5-year-old, something like that. And this guy was sitting on the city council. Now, there were many, many people that saw this woman's, the wife's, video, pictures, whatever it was that she sent. And then it was retracted, So, whatever it was that her decision was to go forward with that or not forward, whatever that was, it's really like, Randy, if you've got domestic violence issues, you don't need to be representing the county on the county council. And that's pretty much what this whole thing is about. This dirty laundry, I'm going to go ahead and air it. It's been in the newspaper. So while Randy has been wanting people to understand that, if you are a representative, a public representative, you need to be a stand-up individual and not have domestic violence and child endangerment charges against you. And until you're cleared of those, then go ahead and step off the council. Well, this guy thinks that he's still on the council, even though he's been dismissed from the powers that be. But anyway, my husband is on this radio show talking about that whole group and their troubles. But anyway, that's you can look it up in the newspaper. I'm going to get back to this. Okay, where was I? Now, constituents. I'm looking for that big long word in my letter here. Randy Bond has become somewhat of a local celebrity after tirelessly bringing a local political legal scandal to light, an issue that's been tarnishing the integrity of the Oconee County Council and its constituents, and in doing so has begun doing a weekly radio show to allow the people of Oconee County the opportunity to know the truth. The radio show is a nonpartisan political show with both Republicans and Democrats coming together to debate county issues. What kind of issues? My joke was ruined just now because I read it wrong. Okay, I'm going to start again. Political show with both Republicans and Democrats coming together to debate county issues. What kind of issues? Issues. Their listening base has gotten up to 15,000 people. It's becoming a big deal in a local news source. Unfortunately, it's also 15,000 plus people listening to his name being pronounced incorrectly by almost everyone. Randy doesn't care, not one little itty bitty tiny bit, but I sure do. It's Ranny, not Rainy. Only the Europeans get a pass as Ranny with an English accent is Ronnie, and we can just skip all that. We love you, Emil and Vicky and everybody across the wee pond. Y'all carry on. Oconee County, please note, it's Ranny, not Rainy. Tell all your friends. Zeph is in 4th grade this year and turned 10 years old in December. He loves airsoft guns and Legos and building guns with Legos. I've posted several of his creations on Facebook, and while I'm not surprised, I'm always impressed with his little engineering brain inside my son. To be able to make moving and working parts to launch a projectile is really amazing to see. I'm proud of him, and I hope he uses that mind to its full potential to do great things. He likes to hunt and fish and hike, as long as he's got somebody to do those things with, of course, and when he doesn't, he's content finding something to build or take apart. He's involved in Trail Life at church and Good News Club at school. He's on the AB honor roll this year and even set a school record during PE class fitness tests, running a mile in 5:20 with bronchitis. He played his 7th season of soccer, and his favorite thing was filling in on another team when they were short a player. He likes to hang out with his good buddy Mr. Jim at the VFW on Tuesday evening, where they have supper for $5, and taking an interest in throwing darts and axes and fits whenever the opportunity arises. He loves his mama, which is why he doesn't want to go to camp and Marvel and movies. Zeph is a really great kid. I like to frequent Mountain Mocha, a little Hallmark movie-esque coffee shop down the mountain where I write in my paper journal with a pen. A lost practice in this digital age. There's always somebody to chit-chat with if you don't bring your own. Sometimes you can find me and my friend Michelle at the YMCA swimming with old ladies, even though they don't like it when we talk, which I find very annoying because you can't hear in that big old echoey pool house anyway. It's not 7th grade math class, and I want to talk to my friend. And besides, you only have to look with your eyes to see what you're supposed to be doing. I have a weekly quilt meeting / activity with the Etc. Club ladies, Miss Myra's Bible study, Tabitha's Hands, or rather Crocheting with Jesus as I call it, where the ladies get together and make hats and scarves for needy local children as well as for those faraway merchant mariners. I had to give that up, though, as it was too many irons in the fire and a list 3.5 miles long of to-dos, and since I'm not great at crochet, I just assumed tackle that list. I'm involved in the multi-focus group that always puts me to work, athletic activities at the high school, Tuesday evenings at the VFW because Zeph loves that, and whatever other life activities that arise to occupy my time. I'm always busy, all the time, but I do enjoy Blue Bloods on Friday night. Watch that if you haven't. It's available on Netflix and Ion Television to catch up with your episodes from previous seasons. Otherwise, it's on CBS at 10 p.m. Eastern. The hottest guy from New Kids on the Block is on there. Now that this letter is written and in your hand, I can get back to Mountain Mocha and my journaling. I've been avoiding it since I have neglected my literary audience and Christmas correspondence and could not justify documenting my thoughts on why all of the armadillos in Texas are always dead and upside down on the side of the highway, but are always crushed and in the middle of the road getting eaten by buzzards in South Carolina when I haven't fulfilled my December obligations and traditions. I am nearly holiday stress-free and will be completely released from my tugging burden as soon as I put the Christmas decorations away. Again, literary audience and whatnot. My husband would sure appreciate it. While I didn't say it in December, I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, and on behalf of my family, I wish you and yours a wonderful New Year 2023.